edition. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, everybody. Doing this on Christmas Eve as we get ready for a Saturday primetime, well, not primetime, but a standalone contest against the Houston Texans with massive implications. Coming off a monster victory against the Dallas Cowboys Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time with the great Lorenzo Neal. A little bit of fun making the rounds. Their NFL Network commercial, thanks to the return of Phillip with Gatesy, Lowe, and Rivers, talking with Rich Eisen. Been seeing that a lot on social media, Lo. I'm sure a lot of people have too, anybody that's got the Chargers in their algorithm. So let's start there. Before we get to the Chargers, doubling up the Cowboys 34-17, punching a ticket into the playoffs, 5 Pro Bowlers. We got a lot we're going to get into, but I want to start. What year? Do you remember the year? And because Phil looked really young in that video. When was that happening? And walk us through the shooting of that commercial.
That is an epic commercial. I'm watching it. It's going through all my algorithms, seeing it on my Instagram and my Facebook. Everyone's like, "You remember this commercial? That I have an issue with your thesis and all this stuff that we're saying because he's Eisen saying." If the Chargers don't have LaDainian Tomlinson, who are they? And Phillip Rivers is all mad because, hey, he's the new young gun that's coming in saying, hey, look, I can carry this team. We just don't have to have LT. You had Sean Merriam talking about he's upset too because he was a defensive monster. So it was really cool because you had Gates, one of the best tight ends in the league at the time. And, of course, the little fullback in there trying to be the tough guy. So I think it was a very, very neat commercial. And that just goes to show you the superpower that LT, who he was and what he was meant to the league itself, that we're on NFL Network and had our own commercial.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's just kind of, because this is coming up a lot, right? That the what they're doing, what Jim Harbaugh is doing, we've got to go back to your time, Lo, and it's only the third time in franchise history. Third time in the history of the Chargers franchise. It goes all the way back to 1960, right? It happened in 78. I think it was 78 and 79, or was it 79 and 80? It was it was 79 and 80. And then it was again in 2006, 2007. Back-to-back 11-plus win seasons. And that is what Jim Harbaugh put together. And it's what they always talk about, right? The only stat we care about is the left column. And that column reads 11 for the second consecutive season, and he may top that number, may get all the way to 13.
Yeah, I hope it goes all the way to 13, because if it goes all the way to 13, there could be a party going on in L.A., meaning the Chargers could be punching their ticket to saying the playoffs would run through L.A. That would be unbelievable if that happened, especially with, we talked about a team that's thriving and a team that's playing great, maybe one of the hottest teams in the AFC, and that's none other than Jacksonville. They went into Mile High Stadium and took care of the Denver Broncos, and now the Chargers are in a place that, hey, you win, you're going to be in a pretty good position.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Look, they control their own destiny now. The Broncos control their own, but so do the Chargers. All they have to do is win. Make a 4-game win streak, a 6-game win streak to close the season. You'll be AFC West champs, and you will have a home playoff game. Could you be the 1 seed? Unfortunately, Jim's brother John couldn't do him any favors. The Ravens yet again collapsed in the fourth quarter and fell to the Patriots. We needed that game to go the Ravens' way, so the Chargers could have a shot at the number 1 seed if, in fact, they win this whole thing out, get a bye into the division. Well, it could still happen, but the New England Patriots have had the easiest schedule of any team all season long, and that's going to continue with their final 2 games being against Miami and the New York Jets. So that was the one you needed them to lose to try to bring them back into the pack, where conference record would come into play. And if each team was 13-4, Chargers very well could have come out ahead of everybody else at the top and had a bye into the divisional round. However it is, Coach is all about don't care, control what we can control, win these next 2 games, get a playoff game for Charger fans, for the Bolt fam at SoFi. And whether that's as the 2 seed or the 3 seed, however it may play out, getting that first game at home is a huge bonus, as opposed to having to go on the road for 3 consecutive.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think that you get that momentum. You play at home, you get that win under your belt. Now you have to go on the road and find a way to win 2 games. It can happen. And this week is going to be a big challenge for the Chargers. You understand who they're playing, the Houston Texans. And the Raiders almost did us a favor there, almost took care of the Texans. So that would have been sweet too. So it's a lot still riding on this season. I mean, there's so many teams still jockeying for position, playoffs, seeding. That's crazy. We're on 2 weeks left in the season, and there's still a lot of things that are unsettled throughout the whole NFL.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the ultimate, obviously the best thing to come out of the week was the Chargers winning, right? Take care of what you can take care of. And they did it by what we talked about, Lo. Can we get some more easy buttons? Can we get some more quick game? Can we get some protection for Justin Herbert to really see what this offense can do? And kudos to Greg Roman. I think a lot of people were unfairly taking shots at Greg Roman. It's hard to pick on a guy that's on his 5th and 6th offensive tackles that lost what you could argue was supposed to be his number 1 running back in Najee Harris for the entire season, that lost his number 1 draft pick, and a guy that right now looks like he's in the conversation as the best running back in football, just straight runner in Omarion Hampton. At least he's going to be in that conversation. To just assume that he should be able to throw 28 points up on the board week in and week out against the Eagles defense, against the Steve Spagnuolo defense. And all we were saying is, hey, can we get this to Can we maybe see something, man? Let's get a little something out there, put something on tape that makes us feel better about having Justin Herbert as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, about going into a postseason with an offense that isn't going to remind us of what happened last year in Houston, where the defense was playing lights out in that first half and the offense just couldn't back them up, and eventually it got away from them to the tune of a wild card playoff game loss. So love that we saw that, but I say all that to set this up. Second best thing that could have happened, Lo, is planting seeds of doubt in the Broncos' brains. Let's see them play where finally the magic's not there. You can't come from 21 down in the fourth quarter against 28 down in the fourth quarter against the Giants. Finally there's some negativity there for the Broncos.
It really was. You saw you saw it just get jumped on, and you watched the way that they just continued to, just couldn't catch up. Every time that the Broncos tried to make a run, Jacksonville would put their foot on the throat. Every time they tried to score, Jacksonville interception. So that's how you play complementary football. Yes, Denver is a good team, but this Charger team, man, you talked about taking care of business. They did what they needed to do, and that's the kind of game plan. This is the game plan. You don't change it. You bottle it up. You say, look, we're going to run the ball. We're going to run sometimes on 1st and 2nd down. We're going to get in 3rd and 2 or 3, and we're going to stay ahead of the sticks. You can't sit there and I love that, because now the play action were started to work. You saw the linebackers tip in there. You saw Will Dissly make some catches. You saw guys just step up and make Trey Harris, the receiver. I mean, you're starting to see these young guys really start to emerge and put their fingerprints on these games. You talked about the running back, watching him get downhill, getting to the corner, getting out on the edge. I like that you bring in those extra linemen. So you're saying you're trying to seal that in, or even if you don't seal it, you're getting movement. You're creating a new line of scrimmage, because they're usually blocking lighter defensive ends or linebackers that are in the box. So you're creating a movement, and now the running back gets one step, one cut, and then he's getting north and south and able to run through some of these tackles. So I love the play design. I love what they're doing with Herbert. Quick plays, getting the ball out of his hand, getting in second and short, 3rd and short, and being able to find open receivers. And guys are winning. They did a great job winning against the Dallas Cowboys, finding a way to get open.
Yeah, and look, it wasn't easy. And I think to me, it's almost better that it worked out that way, right? That Dallas offense, and we talked about it. We're like, hey, look, this offense is going to score some points now. This is the number 1 offense in the league by yardage. It's the number 1 passing offense in the league. If their defense isn't so bad, or hadn't been really bad at the start of the season, this is a team that would probably have the leading candidate for MVP. Dak is playing quarterback as good as, if not better than, everybody else in the league. You're talking about they're losing games when they're scoring 31, 34 points, and they're losing 5 and 6 of those games. So, that's the offense they're going against. And what did we see, Lo? We saw it's trade blows, man. You score a touchdown, we score a touchdown. You score a touchdown, we score a touchdown. You score a field goal, we score a touchdown. It's 21-17 at the half, and Jesse Minter and his defense, led by Derwin, and that front looked in the mirror and said, what are we doing? This is not who we are. This is not what we've done since the bye, when they averaged 14.5 points allowed to the Raiders, Eagles, and Chiefs. The previous 2 weeks, they allowed 19 to the Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champs, 13 to the Chiefs, the 7-time defending AFC Championship game participants, and it kind of got away from them. And then you saw the adjustment. The defense was able to bow up. The offense was able to pick it up as well and score 13 more, shut them out in the second half. And it kind of, to your point, it's like, hey, man, if you can get to, and let's see, I got it pulled up right here, Lo. If you can get to 20 points, we got you, man. We got you. So with that win against Dallas, Chargers are now 10-1 when they score 20 or more points. 10-1. They are 9-0 when their defense holds their opponent to 20 or less. They are 9-1 when they take care of the ball, 1 turnover or less. They are 9-1 when Herbert throws for at least 199. They are 10-1 when he averages 5.6 per attempt, and they are 11-1 when they run the ball 25 times. It's a full season to tell us exactly how this thing should go.
And that's exactly what they should be doing, running the ball between 25 to 35 times a game, throwing the ball maybe 25 times a game. Herbert doesn't need to throw the ball. If you're throwing the ball 40, 60 times, you're probably losing that football game. If you have Herbert dropping back 40 to 50 times a game, you're even though he's amazing and he's a great quarterback, that's not football. You can't play basketball in the grass consistently and win. It just doesn't happen. You got to show some balance, and that's what they've been able to do. I like it that they can run the ball. I like that they're physical. I like that sometimes you said it was only picking up 1 yard, 2 yards, and they kept staying consistent in the run. This team, and Dallas scored, and you're like, wow, this might be turned into a shootout. But you knew, you have faith because you've seen what this defense can do, and Jesse Minter can get this defense humming. It was going to be a matter of time till they make adjustments and they're going to clamp down. This team, you get 21 points or 20, 21 or more, you're going to be, this is a tough out for anybody. The way that this defense plays and the way that they get guys after the quarterback, the way that they're covering on the back end, because they mix it up, they play a lot of zone, they play a lot of man, they're playing a lot of different coverages. It's hard to beat them. That's what this team has to be. And you cannot have Herbert turn the ball over. And like you talked about last year when they played in the playoffs and you played against the Houston Texans team, when you're fumbling and getting the ball, quarterback getting hit, you're losing yardage. Even though your defense is playing well, it's a drive. It's a momentum killer. It takes the life out of your defense. As long as you're playing field position and controlling the clock and do those things, you live to fight on another day. And that's what this team can do well. Don't turn the ball over, play field position, and you're going to win that battle because your defense won't let you down.
Yeah, it was the first time Herbert hadn't thrown an interception in 5 games. And in 7, he had thrown an interception in 7 of his last 8. And in this one, did not throw any. And you talked about it, Lo. You don't want to see him throwing it 40 times, but what you do want to see is that yards per attempt. So I talked about it, 5.6, and that worked better. This might have been the best game in terms of complementary offense because the running game was so effective. And you said it, this team on third, they are the number one. Let me pull it up. I got all my stats from the game here. When it is 6 yards or fewer, 3rd and 6 or less, they are converting those at a 61% rate. That is second best in the NFL. If they can stay on time, if it's 7 or more, that drops to 35%. It's still 9th in the NFL, but if it's 11 or more, it drops to 11%, 22nd in the NFL. So you can see if this team can stay on schedule, if they can run the ball. And I think what that tells us, to me, is play action. They are Justin Herbert is so good at play action. And if you can get that pause from the front 7, trying to figure out if they are going to run it or if they're not, then he is so good at finding that space where he can hit Keenan, he can hit Ladd. Trey Harris is now emerging, Oronde Gadsden, as, in those intermediate routes that you get the yak and you pick up these first downs. So 10.3 yards per attempt against the Cowboys. He was throwing the ball all over the yard in that game. And I think a big part of it was how good Omarion Hampton looked, man. Like, you can't stop him. He gets hit behind the line of scrimmage, and it's still 2nd and 6.
Yeah, his legs are always turning. He's moving. And it's I think what the biggest thing for me is his speed is deceptive. If he gets to that edge, you see him turn the corner.
Yes.
He's leaving guys. He's stiff forming guys and leaving and turning that corner. I mean, hell, he had another run for 20 yards, got called back, a holding, which I kind of maybe they called the wrong guy for holding because that was a good block.
BS. That was a BS on Penning. I'm with you.
Yeah. We saw the same thing. I'm like, dude, that should not have been hold. When they get out on that edge with Omarion, he's trouble. Yeah. He's trouble. He because now he's going against lighter guys. Corners got to make the tackle. Safety's got to make the corner. And he runs hard. He makes them make a business decision. The guy is tough and he's physical and he's fast. So I love what they're doing in the run game, but I love that they were consistent with it the other day. You saw them like, okay, they only picked up 2 yards and they went right back and then popped it for 4. And now it's 3rd and 3. You're like, wow, That's what you want to see. And now you boom, the play action, like you said, you saw the play action. The linebackers have to honor because Omarion Hampton, the way that he's running, they're running the ball on 3rd down and 2. They're still handing the ball off. So those linebackers are getting down. And then you saw Disley block on the line and just barely slow leak out. And he's catching right in the flat, picking up 4 or 5 yards because guys have to respect the run. And teams are like, when you're in 3rd and like 7 or 8, now teams say, go get him. They know the line's going to break down, but you're short. It's quick game, and that protects Herbert. The ball protects him because you can get the ball out of his hand quick.
Yeah, and I thought he navigated the pocket expertly, better than we had really seen. He just looked comfortable out there. He's very comfortable the way he moved. Remember, you lost Jamari Sawyer, who had been really good in pass protection since they inserted him into the starting lineup coming out of the bye week. They lost him early in the first half, and I thought Austin Deculus did a pretty darn good job, and Greg Roman did a really good job of keeping Will Disley out there and helping out with Matlock and keeping Trevor Penning as your 6th offensive lineman, and they really helped out those edges. Protect. Now, look, with no Quintin Williams, your pass rush basically disappears. It's going to look a lot different against the Texans when you got Will Anderson, Danico Autry, and Daniil Hunter out there. That's a different deal, man, and it's not going to be fun. But at least you have some confidence going into that, right? You've seen it. And a big thank you to speaking of that game against the Texans, our friends at FanDuel. Can't thank them enough for helping us keep this thing going here. They have got the Chargers as a 1.5-point favorite. That opened at 2.5. So people are betting it down. A lot of people like the Texans in this one. They're happy to take the points. So it's been bet down to plus 1.5. Who knows? By the time they kick it off on Saturday at 1:30, very well could be the Chargers are underdogs again, just like they were 2.5-point dogs to the to the Cowboys in Texas, like they were 5.5-point dogs to the Chiefs in Kansas City, like they were home dogs to the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. I think they like it that way. I think they would prefer. You heard what Derwin James had to say in media availability yesterday. He's like, whatever, man, keep it going. That's what we like. We don't want people saying, oh, the Chargers, the team to beat. Nobody wants to play them. It's the hottest team. Nope. Keep it going. Why is this team here? Nobody's afraid of them. Look at that offensive line. Justin Herbert's thrown a lot of interceptions this year. All that, keep it coming, man. That is rocket fuel for Jim Harbaugh and this team. So I suspect, based on the trend, like I said, it opened at 2.5, that you could end up seeing them maybe be underdogs by the time they kick that thing off. It's on Saturday at 1:30, Low.
And this game it's in SoFi though, right? And I know Houston, all fans travel good when they play the Chargers. We know that if you get them to get loud enough, they'll get loud at the home. So
I think it'll be heavy Chargers. I think this one's going to be heavy.
Really?
Chargers. Oh yeah, Low. The Texans do not travel like the Eagles, like the Chiefs, like the Broncos, like some of those. When we were in Houston, what was it? Not for the playoff game. There were a lot of Charger fans there, but we were just in Houston a couple years ago.
Yeah.
There were more Charger fans there than there were Texans fans. So the Chargers were able to take over Reliant when we went there a couple years ago.
Oh, that's huge. Especially this time of the year, Saturday, Houston, they got to travel. You're playing a Charger team and you're believing it's going to be more Charger fans and they're going to be heavy Chargers fans. This is going to play well, and I think you are. I think that these fans are starting to come around. I know they were disappointed in some things at the Chargers, but now you're starting to hear it, and people are talking about this team. You don't just get the 11 wins by osmosis. You got to go out there and work. This team has been working. They've been fighting. They've been working their ass off. They're tough. They bend, but they don't break. They're finding a way. They're on a little heater here. I know that everyone's looking at Houston because their defense can get after. I look for Greg Roman. Look for this to be a low-scoring game, and this the biggest thing. If you win the turnover bout, if the Chargers win the turnover bout and Herbert don't try to go win the game, but say I'm gonna throw the ball away. I'm not gonna put it in harm's way. I'm gonna take the sack if I have to, but I'm just gonna run it, do what I'm doing, and they don't put him and Herbert in bad situations. I think the Chargers win this game. I think you look at the way that they're playing, physical, mistake-free football. Complementary football, good on defense, pounding the ball on offense, intermediate pass, play action. You got to run at those guys. I love how the Chargers bring in the extra linemen. You put these guys at tight end, Disley, these guys, and you double team these guys, and you run right up. You make them play, make them anchor down and play at the point of attack. And if you win on those first and second downs, now on third down, you're looking at 3rd and 3 or 4. Now these guys can't just pin their ears back. Then now they can't just pin their ears back. And now Herbert can beat them with the ball because he's not 7-step drop. He's play action. And these guys aren't going to have time to put pressure on the quarterback. That's how you frustrate a pass sack happy team.
Yeah, and I think we just saw it, right, with the Raiders. Ashton Genty's got a 50-yard run. He's got a 60-yard reception. Plant those seeds of doubt. I mean, it was 145 rushing yards in that game. Is that the most? Yeah, second most. The Bucs ran 169 for 169 on them. The Bills ran for 143. They're one of the best running teams in the league, and I think that's probably the one I would look at. The Bills. Now they ended up beating the Bills 23-19. But Josh Allen was running all over the place. You had James Cook running all over the place. What did them in was turning the ball over. You had 3 turnovers in that game because you look at so they're on a 7-game win streak. If you just go to the games that they've lost, the last game they lost was back on November 2nd to the Broncos. It was a rock fight. It was 18-15. They lost to the Seahawks 27-19, and that's a pretty good one to look at, right? Because you have the Broncos is a pretty good one to look at because they just took care of the ball. They only ran the ball for 100 yards. They only passed it for 171. See, and here I am looking at, I don't know, they turned the ball over. I mean, the Broncos turned the ball over twice in that game. The Seahawks turned the ball over 4 times in a game that the Texans lost. Early on, the Jags turned it over once and ended up losing, but they forced 3 turnovers in that game. So I'm talking out of my behind here, Lo. I don't know what the formula is to beat these guys. I think it's just, because the games that they've lost are just kind of weird. They have played tight games, though. I guess that's the best way I can kind of paint the picture is they have won a lot of these tight games, and the Chargers are very good at winning tight games as well.
They are, and I think the Texans, it's not that they're going to go and put 40 up on you. You're not playing a high-powered offense. This is the type of game you just say, let's not lose the turnover battle. Let's play field position. Let's just make sure that we can pound the ball, play action, do what we do, and we're going to be fine. That's the big deal. If you sit back and you fumble the ball and you turn the ball and you give the Texans a short field, and now they're kicking field goals and scoring touchdowns, now you're playing against a defense now that Herbert has to throw the ball, and that's when they become more effective. And this is what you got to nullify. When you're playing against a team that can get after you, that can put pressure on the quarterback, that can hurt your quarterback, you better say, I'm going to run the ball, play action, and I'm not going to turn it over, because if you become one-dimensional against this Houston Texans team, mean you just got to pass happy and you got to throw the ball, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah, and I think, the one thing going for the Chargers is defensively, I think it works out for them. C.J. Stroud does not run around. I was looking at I think he's only rushed for 12 yards in he's not a mobile quarterback. He's rushed for 12 yards in the last 4 games. He's thrown 5 touchdowns, just 1 interception in the last 4 games. I like taking 4-game snapshots. I'm not crazy about doing whole season. Let's just kind of what are they doing in the last month? What can we look at?
Right.
And they played the Colts, the Chiefs, before the Chiefs were eliminated. So still a very good Chiefs team that was fighting. They played the Cardinals, who were terrible, and they played the Raiders, who were terrible. And in those games, you've got 5 touchdowns, averaging 250 yards passing, just 1 interception, only 4 big-time throws. So you're not really pushing the – now, Nico Collins can get down there, man. So you got to be careful about that. He's taken 7 sacks, and the key to me is when I look at this 4-game snapshot, I see only 2 turnover-worthy plays. So he's – what that method is. Do not turn the ball over. Take care of the ball, CJ.
Right.
Take the sack if you got to take the sack. Throw it away if you got to throw it away. Don't turn it over, because our defense is going to get you a couple extra possessions, and we can turn those into field goals and win games by 2.
This is too similar. This is that shadow where you look at 2 teams that are playing the same type of ball. The Chargers saying, look, we got a good enough defense. Don't turn the ball over, Justin. Right. Don't fumble the ball, running backs. Let's just play field position, because our defense and field position, we can win football games. So this is what it's going to turn. We know what this game is going to be. It's the team that wins the turnover battle is going to win this football game. It's simple. And we know Herbert has the bigger arm. We know Herbert can do more. We get that. The biggest thing is don't try to do too much. And that's where the OC has to do a great job of saying, play calling. Let's run the ball. Let's pound the ball. Let's play action. Let's dink and dunk. Let's make this defense become frustrated. Let's frustrate them because they're not sacking Herbert. Let's frustrate them because they're giving up 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and all of a sudden 3, 4, 5, that's a first down. 3,
Right.
4, 5, it's a first down. And now they're saying, okay, now boom, let's take the shot, because now they're hitting and they're reading because they think it's going to be run and it's play action. And now you got McConkey down the middle. Now let's see, okay, you play action, heads, helmets down, coming off, firing off. And now boom, you got Keenan down the middle. This is how you can beat this Houston Texans team and take some shots at times because of the fact they have to respect the running game and the play action.
Yeah, and I want to go back, Lo. You were talking earlier and how I could hear it in your voice, how excited you were getting about Omarion Hampton and what he's doing on the edges. And I know exactly what you're thinking of because I got it in my mind's eye, too, on replay. He hits that left edge, and he's running up the left sideline, and you can see Siobhan Ravel, number 34, coming at him. And he's like, please go out of bounds. Please go out of bounds. Whoop-pow! And he trucked him. He trucked that dude. And then he ends up going right edge a few plays later. And you can see Ravel is just like, business decision, just shoving you out of bounds, man. I'm not trying to take you on. I'm just going to shove you out of bounds. And that's something that you're going to need in this game, man. You need Omarion to beat up Derek Stingley. You need him to beat up Kamari Lassiter. Like, beat up these corners, man. If they're going to have to get out there and tackle you, they are it's the best corner tandem in the league. And they are so damn good in coverage. Make them pay the price. Make them tackle you. Force those corners to come up and make a decision and try to slow you down. And, you know, and put that in the back of their mind that, yeah, you might just not be running step for step with Quintin. You might not have to just kind of take care of Keenan Allen or Ladd McConkey. No, what you're going to have to do is tackle Omarion Hampton, all 225 pounds of him. Let's see you do that a couple times.
Yeah, exactly. And I used to make Kwame have to think about that. I told Kwame, I said, hey, when you played Arizona, I said, I'm going to make you make a decision. You want to tackle me? Oh, no, I'm going to get you. And now his sons are playing. It's crazy. And you remember Kwame last year played with
absolutely.
And his sons, they're playing good ball. They really technique sound, play good corner. But absolutely, Omarion can make them change their mind and make a business decision. Because when he gets out on that edge and once he's through there, he's looking for contact. He knows there's no fair dodging. He's not just running out of bounds. This guy runs angry. And, you know, you got this two-headed monster in Vidal. Give this guy some props. I mean, the way that he's running and jitterbugging water through there, he's still solid running through arm tackles. This little tandem they have running the ball, they're starting to feel themselves, and they're complementing each other well, and they're playing physical, both these backs.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm looking at the numbers now. Like I said, I mean, Omarion has only been back for 3 of the last 4, right? I told you I'm taking a 4-game snapshot is what I'm looking at. So Omarion's only played in 3 of them, and he barely carried the ball against the Chiefs and the Eagles. Just 8, what was it? 8, I'm trying to think, 23 and 24 snaps. Of all the players in this game, he is the leading rusher, and he didn't play in one of the games. He's got 221 on 47 attempts, averaging 4.7. Now, the Texans have been beat up. Nick Chubb and Woody Marks have both been beat up. But, like, you look at it, and it's advantage Chargers. Omarion, again, is running the ball as good as any running back in the league right now, and he's a dude that had 10 weeks off and got the kickback. Or 8 weeks off and got the kickback and get them fresh legs, and you're seeing it right now. 4.7 per carry, 13 first down rushes. If you look at the Texans backs, that is, let's see, 7 for Jordan, 2 for Chubb, and where are you at, Woody? 9. So he's got almost as much as their top 2 backs combined. That's how good he's running the ball. So to me, that's the formula, right? And the other like, everybody's talking about the Chargers offensive line. Look, Texans got some issues there as well, especially right now. Trent Brown's on the injury report as questionable. He has really changed that offensive line since he popped in there at right tackle. Titus Howard has been hurt. Titus Howard is your backup right guard. So is your backup right tackle. So if he goes down, now you've got to weaken that left guard center combo of Howard and Andrews. It's been really good, and they've been running a lot between the tackles. But if Trent's not going, now Titus has to kick out the tackle. Now you got issues with both of your guards because Ed Ingram has been the weak spot there, and Ursary, their left tackle, is also questionable for this one. Right. So you're talking about an offensive line that has had serious issues this year. against Thule, Oweh, and Khalil Mack. Like, everyone's talking. I said it, man. Everyone is talking about Daniil Hunter, Will Anderson, and Danico Autry, and they should. They are incredible. But I'm going to tell you right now, last 4 weeks, Will Anderson, 24 pressures. Khalil Mack, 24 pressures. Next in line, Thule, 21 pressures. Daniil Hunter, 20. Oweh, 13. Danico Autry is all the way down at 5. Sheldon Rankins has 8. So you can make a case. And when it comes to sacks, what do we got? 1 for Will Anderson, 2 for Khalil, 5 for Thule, 3 for Daniil Hunter, 3 for Oweh. This Chargers pass rush has been better than the Texans pass rush over the last month. So if you're talking about both of their tackles being down, obviously the Chargers, we hope that Trey Pipkins can go. We hope that Jamari Sawyer can go. We'll see how that goes, but it's fair fight, man. That's fair fight. It's fair fight. It's not like one. I don't think the Texans have that big of an advantage. When you're talking about Thule's been one of the best edge rushers in the league over the last month.
Oh, he has. And I think you got to give the advantage to the Chargers, especially when it comes to offensive running, because you talked about it, Omarion. He is. I don't think there's a running back in the league right now that runs as physical. Now there's bigger backs, but he may be
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. But Derek is just big and just going to maul you.
Right.
But this guy, Mario, he's got pop. He's going to hit you, and he hurts you. Those are those hits that you like, I'll feel that one tomorrow. So he runs hard. But you said it. The defenses, they're about what and what. You ain't trading necessarily the Chargers defense for the Texans. These defenses are, both of them can get after you. Both of them can cause havoc on the quarterback. Both of them can play good run defense. Both of them can play well on the second back end of the defenses. So you got 2 defenses right now that are playing at a very, very high level. But right now the Chargers defenses look like it's got that swag. It's got some. It's not giving up huge plays, but it's playing very, very elite football right now.
I think the one thing that you want to look at, because we saw what Pickens was. Look, Pickens is, if his head ain't all messed up, he's one of the 4 best receivers in the league. He's a real problem, and you saw that, on Cam Hart and Dante Jackson groin, Ben St. Juste shoulder. Like, you got issues. So that's something that's a major concern with Nico Collins. But if you think back to that playoff game, they did a heck of a job of neutralizing him when they forced a couple turnovers early, and then it just got away from him late. But I thought they did a pretty darn good job. So I don't know if that means sticking Tarheeb on him. I would love to have Dante Jackson out there on him. But I think, with the groin, we'll see how that goes and how the injury report plays out over the course of the week. But really, outside of that, you got Dalton Schultz is their second leading receiver over these 4 weeks. And he's a heck of a tight end. But we know the Chargers pretty good. You got Dan Henley. And the suspension on Denzel is absolute horse crap. I get it. That was a bit of a rough look, and he knocked Flinoy out of the game. So that's going to get extra scrutiny on that one. But to say that it's repeated, no. Denzel just plays football hard. He hits you hard. They are not cheap shots. He's not headhunting. He's just a problem, man, with those run fits, and he can knock people into tomorrow. And there's nothing wrong with that if you're doing it legally, and the league punished him for it. And that's going to affect the Chargers defense quite a bit, because you have the athleticism of Dayon going with the physicality of Denzel is a perfect pair at that linebacker level. Troy Dye is a little bit more of that athletic linebacker as opposed to the thumper that Denzel has been.
Yeah, Denzel brings you that heat. He brings you that, he's that guy, the equalizer that's going to come out there. Kind of remind me of a guy, used to play with the Niners, number 57. You like him now. He's over in Denver, Greenlaw. Yeah. When it hits you, boom, he's going to go out and try to headhunt you. And that's what you love. And it's unfortunate, the suspension, because he sets the tone. He sets the tone in the run game. That he's that guy. But you got Derwin, who's also plays like him, wants to thump, wants to hit guys in the face. But, that's a guy you just don't necessarily, Denzel's a guy you don't necessarily replace. It's just too bad. But other guys might have to step up and play football. Yeah.
And I'm anxious to see what they do. Is it Samarlo Wax? Who do they, when you look at their practice squad, let me get into their roster here. And because like I said, it'll be Troy Dye, and Troy's very good. He's a sound tackler. But I do think, can you kind of find that thump in there? And as I'm looking at their depth chart, I mean, I think about Junior Colson missing this whole season. We forgot to bring that up. Delshon Phillips been out there a couple plays. By the way, how about Delshon? First special teamer to have 20-plus tackles in
crazy.
a season since they started keeping that stat back in 2000. So what a great eye by Ryan Ficken, our special teams coordinator, to go out and get him in free agency, and what a difference he has made. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Marlowe Wax, and Nico Collins, these 2 undrafted free agents. They're going to be pressed into some duty. Nico is a corner, and Marlowe is a linebacker. Hopefully they can get out there and make some plays. It's not going to be an easy game.
No.
I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm saying is I think everybody that's pointing to the 7-game win streak of the Texans and how good this defense has played, I think you also have to look at a 5-game win streak of the Chargers and how well they've played. 4-game win streak of the right? 4? 4.
4.
Raiders, Eagles, Chiefs, and Cowboys. And what was thought of this final 5-game stretch, right? A lot of people predicting, the Chargers are the team that are currently in the playoff picture that I can see falling out. They might lose all 5 of these games.
Yeah.
At least that's the way the odds suggested it. They were underdogs against the Eagles, Chiefs, and Cowboys. So some people thought they were going to lose all 3, and instead they're 3-0 and have a chance at a 13-4 record and the number 1 seed. So I know that's a lot of meandering to the point we were trying to make, but I do think that run it right into the guts of this defense, force them to make tackles, and especially on the edges. They're very good at running on the edges, and I think Greg Roman's really found something here with Trevor Penning as it filling in for Tucker Fisk. I mean, it's not even really a 6th offensive lineman. It's a tight end that just happens to be 6'7", 330 pounds, and can move. And I think the thing, Lo, about Penning is when I look at that offensive line, when you think about Slater and Alt, Northwestern, Notre Dame, very bright guys. Zion, you ever talk to Zion? Incredibly bright guy. You need some salt out there, man. I'm not saying that Trevor Penning isn't smart, but what I'm saying is when you
need somebody crazy, that's going to be
yes. I'm just saying when you list their attributes, I think when you talk about Alt, the first thing you're going to say is he's a giant. He's 6'8", 3. Then your second thing is incredibly cerebral. When you talk about Slater, the first thing you say is incredibly smart. When you talk about Zion, incredibly smart guy. First thing when you talk about Trevor Penning, he's going to rip your head off and he's going to throw it into the 10th row. That's what this guy's all about. And I think that's kind of a little bit, and you're seeing a couple of those flags come in because, he's playing through the whistle. I think they need it.
You do. He's our Chris Dillman. He's a Chris Dillman, that nasty, you got to have a nasty, you got to have a big nasty, a guy that's going to go out there and punch you in the mouth and start the fight. And you say, you know what, I'm going to start the fight and you guys better come to my rescue because you know what, I want you starting that fight because I know if you're fighting, that means that I'm going to have to fight. So when you got guys like that, that's going to get it cranked up, you got to raise your game because you're like, this dude's playing the way football should be played, reckless and abandoned, but under control. When you got a guy like that, you see him hitting guys and pounding guys, I'll tell you, he used to get me fired up money. It made me want to go a little bit harder when I seen Dillman go take a guy and pancake him. I'm like, let me get some of that. Let me pancake you too.
and that's what Scott Matlock's starting to do, especially in the run game, man.
Yeah.
You're starting to see Scott. And I think DJ and I were talking about this, and he made a great point. He's like, the key with Matlock is just don't forget that he's a interior defensive lineman. Don't ask him to change directions. Don't just get him moving, get that train moving, and get that train to run over that car that's sitting on the tracks. Don't feel like you got to get him to cut back or reset. Get it moving and get him to hit something. And I think they started to do that against Cowboys.
And he's playing a little bit more under control. Matlock was running. He wanted to go run and go hit something like you said. But now, hey, look, slow to, fast through. You can see now he's patient coming across, and then he's blocking guys. Now you see him on the K4 and K5. He's patient. He makes it look like run, and now he's slipping in the flat, catching the ball. You see the big fella starting to relax. You see the big fella turning and spinning and trying to make a couple moves. He's actually now starting to become comfortable. He wasn't comfortable doing it big, like you said. He's a defensive lineman, moving that's athletic, and now you make him do something he's not accustomed to doing, but now you're starting to see it. It's been a while, but think about watching. He's moving slower. He's getting his hat in his hands, playing with his feet in his hands, putting his hands inside. He's smothering guys. He's doing good technique. I like where he's coming. I like what he's doing.
Yeah, it's been a real development, a great a great study in player development, and to have that vision, and to K-Mac, the running backs coach, to offense coordinator Greg Roman, to Jim Harbaugh investing in Matlock, and it's really starting to pay off. And so I think on top of all that, kind of the other thing is it just sets an identity, right? It just sets an identity of what you want to do, how you want to play football, and what you should expect as a defense when you step on that field. Here comes a 220-pound back behind a 310-pound fullback, behind a 330-pound, 6'7" tight end. I'm using the air quotes, tight end. Let's see what you got. And even if it goes for 1 or 2 yards, you're going to feel those 1 or 2 yards. And I think that's they found something. They found an offensive identity, and off of that, Justin Herbert is now getting play action to work. I said this on Instagram. I'll repeat it here. The golden rule of social media is if you can't say something mean, don't say anything at all. So nobody's talking about Quintin, 4 catches, 103 yards, that beautiful 50-yarder that he hauled in through contact, toe tap on the sideline, not to mention hit the best catch of his career, that one-handed grab in the end zone, in tight coverage to toe that sideline in the end zone, and to secure that thing with one hand going to the ground was as impressive as anything he's done. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's brought up, since they can't pick on him for dropping balls like they could his rookie year, his name's just forgotten. Instead, now it's the guy that was taken right after him, Zay Flowers, who fumbled another ball at a critical time that ended up costing the Ravens that game. They were driving for a game-winning score. He fumbles it, turns it over, game over. Now Zay Flowers has taken all the incoming when the Chargers were the dumbest team in the world for not drafting him instead of Q. And Q, by the way, speaking of your teammate, Lowe, first time that a Charger receiver has had back-to-back seasons with 8 or more touchdowns since Gatesy did it from 2004 to 2010.
Wow.
So that's what Q put together as a wide receiver too. I'm gonna get you 8 touchdowns. How's that sound as a wide receiver too?
Love the guy, great guy, great young man, works hard. He's a guy, money. I'm telling you, I told him that. I sat him at the golf tournament with him, talked for a while, and I told him, hey, money loves you, man. We believe in you. And hey, take it. Told him to be physical. I said, you're good enough. You just you need to believe in yourself. And I think it's helped, Money. I think that conversation told him about you, Money. I think he gets it. And the guy's he's playing, honestly, he's having a hell of a year. And you got to be happy for a great when it's a good person.
Right.
You've got some guys that are jerks, but he's a good guy. He's a good man. So really happy for him.
Yeah, great young man. Did it in front of his parents, military family, had about 50 people there, friends and family, to watch him put it on the Cowboys, get that touchdown, get that explosive 50-yarder, got that crosser, that beautiful crosser that ended up going for another 20. He averaged 25.3 or 26.3 yards per reception. Q. 100 yards of Justin's 52nd 31st 300-yard game, 52nd game with 2 or more touchdowns. So it's a heck of a game. I know we're getting a little long here, so let's just quickly point out some of these FanDuel props. Let's see. Justin Herbert, the over-under is 218 yards, 217 and a half. So there's the hook. 217 and a half passing yards coming off a 300-yard game. Just it's the most passing yards he's had since the Colts game when he threw for 420. Will Herbert have at least 23 and a half? That's something we didn't bring up, Low. His 43 rushing yards were freaking huge in that game. So that's a 23 and a half. And I think you're going to see him scrambling quite a bit with this pass rush. So that's something to keep an eye on. They got the passing touchdowns at 1.5. And will you have 245 passing plus rushing? And let's see, they got a Trey Harris prop, 19 and a half. I'm all, before he dislocated that finger, man, he was the go-to guy. He was having a heck of a game. And Quintin Johnston is at 36 and a half. So those are always tough, the wide receivers, because you're talking about Lassiter and Stingley out there on them. And you don't know how they're going to split those guys up. But it's going to be a great one. It's going to be a great one. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a standalone game. These guys, it's not prime time, so I don't think it'll qualify as prime time, but you can, right? Monday Night Raiders win. Yeah. If we go through the schedule, they're 5-0 on their standalone games, right? So Brazil against the Chiefs, Monday night against the Raiders. You had Thursday night against the Vikings, Sunday night against the Steelers, and Monday night against the Eagles. 5-0 with the eyes of the football world watching you. They love it, man. They love the spotlight. And we get it again on Saturday at 1:30 on NFL Network.
Let's go, baby. Let's go both up. Big opportunity for this Charger team. And to be honest, big opportunity for both these teams. This is a heavyweight fight. These are two defenses that are primed for a big, and these two defenses are bragging for bragging rights. These are two defenses that are similar. They want to get after the quarterback. They run. They're athletic defenses. Two offenses that say, look, let's play ball control. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's play field position. This is going to be one of those cat and mouse games. This is that big heavyweight fight. And the team that lands the big punch and the team that don't turn the ball over is going to win. That's how tight this game's going to be. And both these teams have a lot to be playing for.
No doubt. Chargers going for their 5th in a row. The Texans going for their 8th in a row. Chargers get a win, and they are set, I would imagine, for a primetime showdown. Will end up being that last game played on Sunday night. Or it'll be either Chargers v. Broncos, or it'll be 49ers v. Seahawks, for the NFC West or for the AFC West. All eyes will be out west, and one of those two teams is going to play that 5:00 kick. And I bring that up, and why that game would be so important to win, because remember, if I remember right, last year we played Saturday early, which was not cool. It was a short week. And you had to travel all the way to Houston to play on Saturday after playing, on Sunday. So, the Chargers end up getting a short week. So if you have that Sunday night game and then they drop you on Saturday, man, what an advantage to be at home if that's the case. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, we're going to focus on those Houston Texans. Like I said, fair fight, man. Everybody's making it sound like the Chargers are at this disadvantage. No, this is a fair fight between these two teams, the way they stack up, the way they match up. I would be very surprised if this was not a tight contest that comes down to execution in the fourth quarter.
I agree with you. And we all know offense entertains, but defense wins championships. Which defense is going to show up? Let's go bolt up.
Let's go bolt up.